looks like we're beginning to see signs that the service is about to begin any moment. I want to correct myself. It's IMPD who is covering shifts for Beech Grove police officers today. You know, Gary, you said something that is true beyond a police officer who has died in the line of duty, and that is the support that the victim's family needs, not in just the days after, but in the weeks and months after. Yeah. When the cards stop, when the flowers stop arriving. That's just so important that keeps going. Yeah, it is important, and there'll be plenty of professionals to do that. Now we're seeing the beginning of the services here is to be the changing of the guard at the casket. Was a poignant moment there as the service for Officer Elliott begins. Yes, the honor guard that was with on each side of the casket there has been relieved, and the service itself will start. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. A man in blue has lost his life in service of the law. The love that makes the sacrifice is the greatest love of all. A policeman was killed today. The reason why I cannot say. I don't know why he had to die. The man in blue died for me and you. We must remember him too. Flags fly low, let us bow in prayer for fallen policemen everywhere. And remember this, that they are missed. The badge burns bright like an evening star, free from a world of war.
morning. It's a terrible set of unfortunate circumstances that brings us here together today. But I know today is not about us. It's about Brian Elliott. I know that on behalf of the family, the friends, the loved ones, we appreciate each and every one of you for being here today. We're going to show him the utmost level of respect, dignity, and love, and that couldn't be done without each and every one of you. I'd first like to introduce the Beech Grove Mayor, James Coffman.
Good morning. My name is James Coffman, and I'm honored to serve as mayor for the city of Beech Grove. We are gathered this morning to mourn the loss of Officer Brian Elliott and to support his wife, Erin, his parents, Bob and Paula, and the rest of Erin and Brian's family and friends. We are honored to have many of Brian's friends and colleagues with us here today. I am honored to be joined today with Brian's 39 brothers and sisters from the Beech Grove Police Department, along with friends and colleagues from the Marion County Sheriff's Department and Eskenazi Health, where Brian proudly served prior to coming home to Beech Grove. These three departments helped shape Brian into the incredible officer that we all knew him to be, and we are grateful for the support each of you have provided to our friend. To all the people who know and love Brian, you do not have to carry this weight alone. We see you, our hearts are with you, and we are walking alongside you every step of this journey. Thank you all for being with us in Beech Grove today. Officer Brian Elliott laid down his life to protect our city, a city that he loved, where he was most proud to serve as a police officer. While Brian's service and sacrifice will forever be linked to him, it does not define all that he was. Brian was a husband, a son, a brother, and a friend. And like many of us in this gymnasium, Brian was a Beech Grove Hornet. He walked these same halls at Beech Grove High School and graduated in 2011. Today we celebrate the exceptional life of a man who is deeply woven into all aspects of our city. A man who loved music, bourbon, motorcycles, his wife Erin, his family, friends, and colleagues. I have heard so many stories from others about Brian in recent days, and I would like to share some of mine with you today. There are a lot of firsts when it comes to being a new mayor. But none of these firsts hold a more special place in my heart than when I swore in my first new police officer. Brian Elliott was that police officer. And it was on the craziest day imaginable. April 8th, 2024 was a big day for the city of Beech Grove. Not only was this the day of the total eclipse, it was Brian Elliott's first day as a Beech Grove police officer. It was all hands on deck, and every Beech Grove police officer was working that day, even the new guy. Chief Maurice called me that morning and said we had to swear Brian in immediately. I was busy running around preparing for the day's festivities, but I stopped everything, just as Chief Maurice insisted that I do, and hurriedly typed up Brian's oath. I went down to the police station and swore in our newest police officer, Officer Brian Elliott. Brian later pulled me to the side and informed me that in my hurry, I spelled his name wrong on the oath of office. I was so embarrassed, but Brian was kind. He joked about it and didn't tell the entire world like I just did. It was fitting that the eclipse was Brian's first day with our department. As hundreds of people descended upon our city that day, Brian knew that he was where he belonged. And I, along with his fellow officers, we're thankful to have him here. Fast forward a few months later, and Taylor Swift was in town. Now, I know this was definitely nowhere close to Brian's type of music, given he listed Metallica as his favorite band in his introduction to our community. But there was an event on Main Street, and our officers were out in full force that day. And there they were, Officers Bryant, Comia, Elliott, Frankel, Horgan, and others, down on Main Street, trading those beaded Taylor Swift friendship bracelets. And I tell you what, the smiles on our officers' faces were larger than most of the kids that day. And I have the pictures to prove it. They loved it, and the community loves them. That, in essence, was Brian. He loved our community and his fellow officers with everything that he had. Being a police officer was Brian's calling. This was so much more than a job to him. Brian was here to protect his home and the community that he loved. Brian was fun and someone you wanted to be friends with. You can see it in the video of him arresting the Grinch at the Beech Grove Police Department. Father Bob Robeson at Holy Name Catholic Church shared that he worked at Oktoberfest last fall. And we all know that he had his work cut out with that crowd. That's why, as we heal together as a community, it's incumbent on us all to share these stories and to keep Brian's joy alive. When I think of Brian, I'll remember his joy, his bravery, but also his humility. Brian was humble. We are not celebrating his life in downtown Indianapolis at some large sporting venue. We are home, in the community he grew up in, where he went to school, and where he sacrificed it all to serve and protect us. Brian is still with us. He represents the best of who we are as a city. But that doesn't change that we are heartbroken. At times we are angry and often feel helpless. But I assure you, in this darkness and brokenness, there is beauty. Spending the last week with our officers has been a blessing that I was not prepared for. From Chief Maurice to Deputy Chiefs Hurley and Mercury, to every single officer on our police force. The bond and love our police department has for each other and their families is humbling. In this tragedy, they continue to show up each and every day for each other, their families, and for our community. I've witnessed the commitment across our entire city, from our city employees to our schools and businesses. The people of Beech Grove are strong and unwavering in their support of each other. When life is hardest, we step up. That's what Brian did. We will get up tomorrow and be the best that we can be. Why? Because that's what Brian did. He showed up and gave his all. And he did it with a smile. That smile that we all love so much. We will always celebrate him. But we also have to recognize the process that brought us here today. Our city is piecing itself back together for Brian, for our fellow officers, for our community, and most importantly, for Aaron and their families. Rest easy, Brian. While we know you are still here with us, know that your fellow police officers and the entire community of Beech Grove will continue to watch from here. The community that you died protecting will be okay because we have each other. Your family is now our family. We will remember your courage. We will remember your infectious smile. As a community, we will stand with Aaron, your family, and your friends, and will ensure that your life and legacy is never forgotten. To Aaron, thank you for sharing Brian with us. We are all better as people and as a city for having known him. As I said earlier this week, you are our family now, and we aren't going anywhere. I want to leave you with the words etched on the memorial for fallen heroes in our nation's capital. It is not how these officers died that made them heroes. It is how they lived. As we remember Brian, let's all strive to be like him and the spirit that he carried. May we all be a little more kind, a little more dedicated, a little more humble, and a lot more protective of each other. That is the community that Brian would want. That is how we honor a hero. That is how we honor Officer Brian Elliott and his family. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce the Beech Grove Chief of Police, Michael Maurice.
I first want to say thank you. Thank you for being here as we, the Beech Grove Police Department, the city of Beech Grove, the community around us, and most importantly, Aaron and the rest of Officer Brian Elliott's family mourn the senseless loss of his life. The outpouring of support from not only here in Indiana, but across this nation has been overwhelming. The calls, text messages, emails, items left at the station, you being here, have all meant so much. To all the agencies, local, state, and federal, that came to our aid in one of the most devastating events that can happen to a police department. Thank you. I do not take it lightly that when our world stopped, you responded. Even when your world kept spinning, you were here to prop us up until we can get back on our feet. Thank you for responding and helping us to capture Brian's murderer so that we may begin the process of healing and closure. Aaron, I want to thank you for sharing Brian with the Beech Grove Police Department. I am sorry for your loss, and I promise that the Beech Grove Police Department will not let his memory or the lasting impact that he had on our department be forgotten. February 16th, 2026 will forever be a devastating day in the history of the Beech Grove Police Department. There is no playbook, no policy, and no amount of training that can prepare you when your officers call you telling that you have not one, but 2 officers shot. As I drove into the city, I couldn't comprehend how this could have happened. I thought it had to be a mistake. I knew who was working. I hired them. I trained with them. I watched them on runs that I had taken with them. I had seen their body cameras interacting with the public. They were everything we want and expect our officers to be: fearless, compassionate, eager, community-oriented, selfless with a desire to help others, and able to act valiantly in high-stress and tactical situations. I need to stop there for a minute and tell you more about my Beech Grove Police Department family. I'll tell you how and why Brian ever became a Beech Grove police officer. The city of Beech Grove is 4 square miles with 15,000 citizens. It is surrounded by the almost 1 million citizens of Indianapolis. I used to say in interviews that the Beech Grove Police Department was one of the best kept secrets in central Indiana. Why a secret? Because we were often overlooked. We have a brand new police department, a brand new training facility with an indoor range. We are composed of 40 police officers and 5 civilian support staff. Among our officers, we have 8 with associate's degree, 22 with a bachelor's degree, 3 have master's degrees, and the rest, 4 of them have military experience. 5 of us have attended the FBI National Academy, with 1 attending the current session. Over half the department are instructors or FTOs. Not only are we fully staffed, we're fully staffed in Marion County, Indiana. It is unheard of to have no openings when everyone around you is struggling to find qualified candidates. Why are we fully staffed? Why do we continue to find and hire only the best? Previously, I would have told you to come see for yourself. I don't have to tell you that anymore. Officer Elliott and his shift's actions are on full display for the whole world to see and read about. Brian was one of our officers with a bachelor's degree. He came to us after serving 6 years with the Marion County Sheriff's Office and Eskenazi Health, the Marion County Sheriff's Office, where he worked in the sex offender registry unit. When we hired Brian, he already possessed the characteristics that we expect our officers to display. He was going to fit right in because, like our other officers, he was the very best. Brian attended the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in the summer of 2024, where he was assistant squad leader, graduated with honors, and won the Glenda Mercer Memorial Award for being the top academic performer in his graduating class. Brian's pursuit to be the best police officer possible did not stop after graduating the academy. It continued after he completed his field training with us. Brian was a go-getter, striving to lead his shift in arrests and runs taken. He chose to return to middle shift in October of 2025. Middle shift at Beech Grove is the busiest shift, so it didn't surprise anyone that he wanted to be a part of that team. During that time, Brian received several supervisor recognitions. He also volunteered for our community events such as Shop with a Cop and National Night Out. Now back to that night. After leaving the hospital, in the early morning hours of Tuesday, the 17th, I returned to the police department as questions remained on what had occurred just a few hours prior. Although I had been briefed on some of the events, I still needed answers. I watched the body cam video with one of my deputy chiefs. What I saw was a shift displaying all the characteristics I already listed. 2 officers heard a cry for help and without hesitation answered that cry. They immediately went to intervene, unaware there was an ambush on the other side of that door. I saw an officer who himself had just been shot immediately try to evacuate Officer Brian Elliott, who had also been shot from in front of that door. I saw the sergeant immediately start rendering aid to Brian. They stayed in the fight, even under fire. They didn't retreat, and they never left Brian's side. I saw the rest of the shift arrive on scene and run to assist their officers who were under attack. They did all they could for Officer Elliott while transporting him in the back of their patrol vehicles. I watched as they loaded the other officer into another vehicle and took him to the hospital. Officer Elliott was murdered not because of a mistake or one of his shipmates had made. It was circumstances no one on this side of the door could have controlled. At no point did they retreat. At no point did they leave Officer Elliott's side. They didn't wait to make sure it was safe before they tried to save Brian. Why? Because Officer Elliott was one of them. They knew he possessed those qualities that make the Beech Grove Police Department who we are. They knew Officer Elliott would not have left them. Was Brian so much more than a police officer? Absolutely. However, the man Brian was outside of work was on full display the night in his role as a police officer. Officer Brian Elliott was the best of the best, and that is why he was a Beech Grove police officer. The question remains, how do we try and prevent this from occurring in the future? It is time for this nation and this state to have a serious conversation about criminal justice reform and juvenile violence. I am not talking about the law enforcement side. The law enforcement aspect has seen more scrutiny and changes to our profession over the last 5 years than the previous 20 combined. It is time to hold accountable those who hold a propensity for violence so that they cannot assault or kill another innocent victim. How does a small, family-oriented department move forward after the loss of one of their own? We are hurting, shocked, and brokenhearted at Brian's loss. There have been times when it almost seems unbearable. Many people have sent words of encouragement or scripture to console my officers and me. The one verse that was shared with me that I keep going back to is Psalms 34:18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Yesterday at my church service, as we closed out, we sang a song called His Glory and My Good. A lyric in the song says, "There is hope in every trial, for I can trust the Lord." That is where I am. We often feel the weakest in times of trial, but my hope will remain in the Lord. It would be easy to pack it up and quit. It would be easy to say it isn't worth it. But that's not in our DNA. And it wasn't in Brian's DNA either. We cannot quit. That would only diminish the sacrifice that Brian made and the legacy that he leaves behind. Brian was so much more than a police officer, and we will be different without him. We will have a scar to bear, but I have already seen the resolve and the unity that this tragedy has brought out in my officers and their families. Stories that have brought laughter and stories that have brought tears. We have started down the long path of healing, and we will continue to show resolve as we serve the citizens of Beech Grove with dedication, valor, sacrifice, and integrity. Officer Brian Elliott, it was an honor to have served alongside you. We will continue to carry on your sacrifice from here.
I've replayed this moment today in my head more times than I can count. I never imagined that I would be standing here talking about Elliot like this. For those that don't know you, or don't know me, I'm Joshua Shrum, and Elliot, he was my best friend. He was honestly more than a best friend, more than a brother, more than everything. And that's because if you knew him for even 5 minutes, you knew that he was someone special, someone that would leave a lasting impression on you. He was the guy that would make you laugh about the strangest things. One day while we were on duty, he convinced me to leave a fake ticket on the car window of a girl that I was dating. He said, she'll love it. And maybe one day when you're married, you can tell her about it and you'll get a good laugh. I told him that if this works, I'm claiming it as my own idea. And if not, I'm definitely going to blame it on you. Well, you were right, Elliot. It worked, and I admit, it was your idea. Elliot had a way to talk to you and just instantly make you feel like you've known him for years. He could talk to you for hours about the recent modifications that he made to his car. Or maybe you would get an in-depth conversation about whether a hot dog was in fact considered a sandwich. Or just maybe you get one of those rare conversations about his love for cigars. But they weren't that rare. In fact, it was quite frequent. See, I remember the exact day, back in 2019. I told him that I wanted to get a group of guys together to relax, have fun, all while smoking a cigar. He looked at me and he said, Shrum, I don't know much about cigars, but I can pretend. Let's go with it. Little did he know that he would quickly become the vice president of our cigar club, the Circle City Cigar Club. A club that allowed us to meet, spend time with, and grow close to some of the most amazing people I have ever met in my life. All because he said, let's go with it. But that was the type of man he was. He was the guy that would help you out without hesitation. The guy that would sit with you in silence if that's what you needed. He didn't need credit. He just needed to know that the people he loved were okay. Early in his law enforcement career, I got assigned as his first field training officer. Elliot was green, very green. We had a particular shift that was long, very stressful, and it involved us dealing with some very tough situations. I won't go into detail of what we went through, but anyone not in law enforcement, let alone a brand new officer, it'd be a lot to take in. We were leaving that day, and he wasn't concerned on how he performed. He didn't care if he checked all the boxes as a rookie. He didn't even care that earlier that day he had cut his hand, and it was a bad cut. Instead, he looked at me and he said, hey, Shrum, are you okay? He cared about me, and that was Elliot. No spotlight, no applause, just steady, solid, there. Elliot didn't just serve a community, he built one. He made people feel safe, feel heard, feel included. Not because of the badge he wore, but because of the man that he was. He made those quiet sacrifices that you would never see. I'm sorry, Aaron, I gotta say this. I remember him telling me that he was gonna propose to Aaron, and I told him about time. I said, you better do it before she really gets to know you. His response was, do you think I need to do something different in our relationship? I explained that he was doing everything right. It wasn't until later that I realized he thought I was serious. See, he was looking internally and making sure that he was doing everything that he should in that relationship. He wasn't worried about himself. He was making sure that he was putting her first, a quiet sacrifice to ensure that those around him were placed before himself. I tried to come up with a way to say goodbye, a way to turn the page, but you can't. I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, what I'm about to say, but this is the truth. The Romans say that you die twice. Once when your body leaves this world, and once when your name is spoken for the last time. Elliot will never die that second death. Not in this room, not for his family, not for his friends, and not in my life. I'll carry him with me in every laugh, every hard day, every time that I need to be a better man. And that's the gift that he gave me, and that's the legacy he gives all of us. Thank you. I'd like to once again thank every single person for being here. The support, and the love, and the appreciation that has been given to the family, the friends, the officers, every single person in this room does not go unnoticed. No matter what happens, tomorrow's another day, but we cannot get to tomorrow without going through today first. Lean upon each other, give each other courage and strength. We will continue to push on, and we will get to the next day. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. At this time, I'd like to excuse law enforcement officers and family and public safety.